Okay, hello everyone. Welcome. Thank you again for being here with us in the Business Communication Skills special session. This session comes as a part of the Clean Energy for Africa Volunteers Program. It's an intensive training that has been started in August 2020, and now we are heading to the end of this program. So during our session today, we will be speaking or discussing about the business communication skills, the importance, and the culture diversity.
Zulfa, we cannot hear you.
So
you did not unmute yourself.
I did. Okay, 1 second.
Okay, you're unmuted now, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Actually, I switched off actually my speaker, so maybe I was the one not hearing. Sorry. sorry. Apologize for that. Apologize. Yeah, continue. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. It always happens whenever you have technical issues with the communication. So this is an example of what could happen when you are presenting or doing something online these days. Because of COVID-19, everything is just online. So this is usual, and we will continue. So talking about the business communication skills, culture, diversity, presentation, and meetings, what is the importance of that? This is what we are going to speak about in this presentation. So now, before we dig deep, we would like to start by talking about the presenter. So it looks like we still have technical issue in here. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, okay. Okay, so to introduce myself, my name is Zulfa Rasheed. I graduated from Rochester Institute of Technology. Currently, I'm doing an internship with the Clean Energy Business Council, and I'm coordinating the WISE program, which is Women in Clean Energy Mentorship Program. I'm also a co-founder in the Clean Energy for Africa and coordinating the Volunteers Program. I have worked with the UNESCO between Ethiopia and UAE. I also participated with the Industrial Engineering and Operational Management Society, and I have won an award with them and published 2 papers, 2 abstracts with them. I also spoke on the TEDxRITDubai about engineers and artists, and I'm also a certified Toastmasters International Competent Communicator. So this is a general idea about what I'm doing and how I will try to convince you about the importance of business communication skills. So the agenda of our presentation today will be speaking about the objectives, and I'm going to give an introduction about the business communication skills. We will dig deep into cultural diversity, presentations, how to plan them, how to have a good presentation, and as well as meetings. Many of you are conducting meetings from time to time, so it's very important to understand how to plan the meetings in the most efficient way, and we will end up with the questions and answers. So our objectives will take us through 3 steps during today's session. The first step will be to understand the importance of culture in business communication and the career development. The second will take us to learn the basics of good presentation, including the design, including the visual aids, and the format of the presentation. And third, we will practice how to chair a meeting and how to plan a meeting with an example. So I will be very happy if you prepared yourself to participate with me during this presentation, since we are talking about communication skills. So we will need to communicate through this session. Introduction. Simply, communication is 3 steps. It's the step of having a message that you want to deliver to someone, and then you will move to use a mean to deliver your message. And then the third step will be to have your message delivered successfully to the third party or to the second party. So if you have any problem in the message itself, for example, if you have problem with the language, if you have a problem with speaking the right terminologies. For example, if we have people from different fields and they are speaking different terminologies, even though they are speaking the same language, but it will still be very difficult for them to understand each other. That is because of the lack of communication, the lack of the proper language used between them. And then moving to the meal, just like we had a minute ago with the technical issue, this is normally happening whenever we have people communicating online. These days with COVID-19, as we just said, people are having so many technical issues. So this could cause a failure in the mean of communication. So for that, the communication will be failed. So you can communicate it through the telephone. It could be through internet, as we are doing just right now. It could be just using your voice when you are speaking to anyone. So all these are means of communication. When we look at them, it's very important to use the right mean of communication depending on the occasion or the event you are conducting. We're going to speak about that through this presentation. The third part we spoke about is to have your message delivered. Sometimes it could be simply the person you are talking to is not concentrating with you, having their mind going somewhere. In that case, you will have your communication fail. So these three steps will get us to a successful communication. Now, communication is a part of the soft skills. And nowadays, we have the technical, we have so many people who have very strong technical backgrounds. We have people who have, they can easily train anyone to do the technical part of the job. But when you come to the soft skills, it's something could be similar to a talent, something that built in the personality of the person. Some people are better than other people in the communication skills. So it could be for many reasons. That doesn't mean you will born having your communication skills. It's just the environment, and you can learn to have better communication skills. We are not specifically talking about communication skills, but actually we are talking about the business communication skills that could be used by anyone from any field. So let's have this short video. We are not going to watch it the whole video. So now we will start part of it. So this video, I hope everyone have heard it successfully. So this video was sharing with us the importance of having soft skills. And as you heard in the video, it says that people nowadays are preferring to have people who have, or to hire people who have good communication skills or good soft skills. So because the technical side, because of the technology we have today, all the advancement we have makes it easy for us to understand the technology. But having that humanitarian side of the personality of the person is the thing which is which is you don't find it that easily. It could be something very specific to a person or to a group of people or whatever. So let's move on and have you participating with us. So as you see here, we have the eye contact. We are speaking about now the eye contact. So tell us about the meaning of eye contact in your culture. People who are, for example, looking at you, people who are speaking with you without looking at you. So what is your culture? Can we have participants who is going to start with us? So can you unmute yourself? So
hello.
Yes. Hi, Matthew.
Hi.
Yeah, please tell us about the eye contact in your culture.
Yeah, so the eye contact, I think it means more of trust, that you trust the people you're talking to, and you respect what they're saying, and you're taking it seriously.
So you mean in your culture you prefer to have people looking at you when they are speaking to you. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so this is one example of the eye contact in a culture. As Matthew said, it can reflect the trust, it can reflect the respect when you are speaking to someone and you are looking to the person on the eye. So do we have another participant who can tell us about a different meaning maybe of the eye contact in the culture? So you can simply unmute yourself. It will be very good to have one other participant to see about the cultures. Yes, hi, Muna.
Hi, Zulfa, how are you?
I'm fine, Muna. Muna is a great colleague of mine. I'm very happy to have you today. So please, Muna, tell us about the eye contact in your culture.
So basically, if I'm having any face-to-face communication with anyone, the person should be looking at me, because otherwise that means he's somehow disrespectful to me. I mean, if you have someone who's standing in front of you and looking to some other area while talking to you, somehow it will be sound like offensive and disrespectful to you. You would not be like you will not be liking to have the communication or continue the discussion with the person, because eye-to-eye contact means that the person is respecting you, he is trying to convey a message to you. You'll be able to understand some and like sometimes, because you can understand the way that the person is looking at you, you will be able to understand this, there is something more into this matter, for example. So it's a way of respecting the other person while looking at them.
Okay, thank you, Muna, for sharing your insights about it. So, as we heard here, people are having meanings for the eye contact. Matthew and Muna have maybe the same opinion about the eye contact, the direct eye contact, but different cultures will have different understanding to the eye contact. Amina is trying to participate with us. Please go on, Amina.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening, Amina.
Can you hear my voice, Zulfa?
Yeah, we can hear you very clear.
Thank you for inviting me to attend this really lovely presentation. For eye contact, I think in my country, if it will be different according to the gender. For example, if like women to look to the man or vice versa, sometimes the checking like is no respect, like we cannot look to the eyes. So especially if there is different in age, like for example, if the older people, if the youngest look to their eye direct, so while they are talking, so some people they are consider is no respect in some situation, and also according to the conversation. And for me, looking to my eye when I'm talking, it is mean you are concentrating with me, and you have like you know what I'm saying, and it mean respect also. So I think according to the situation also it will be consider what is meaning eye contact.
Yeah, thank you, Amina, for sharing your opinion or cultural meaning of the eye contact. And from what you said, we can look at two different parts of that eye contact. It can be a part of the culture, and it can be having different meanings, depends on the gender, as you said. For example, if it's between the man or a woman, so that could have also different meanings. Thank you, Amina, for sharing with us your idea about the eye contact.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another participant, or maybe we move on?
Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone. I think to me, it depends on the situation. Like if you are in a meeting and you are maintaining an eye contact, that would mean that you are confident in what you are saying. At the same time, you want to connect with your audience. So for me, it depends on the situation where in which you are maintaining the eye contact.
Thank you, Jennifer. So that can have, as well as we spoke about the cultural side, we spoke about the different genders, and there is also a part of the personality of the person. So sometimes it could have different meaning, depends on how you are looking at that as a person. So there are different culture side, there are different perspectives when you are talking about the, for example, eye contact. There are also other examples when it comes to the cultural diversity. So maybe most of you found that it will be more trusted to speak to someone who's looking to your eyes when they are speaking. But if you have someone superior, and let's say this person is Japanese, that could be, I won't say that it will be a disaster, but it will have a totally different meaning. Let's go to the next slide and have the examples about the cultural diversity for the eye contact in different regions. In Africa, for example, and most of the Africans, by the way, who participated just with us, said that long eye contact is something that make them feel trusted, or make them feel trusting the person who's talking. But when you come to the United States of America, they found that avoiding eye contact is also associated with unfriendly person, insecure, someone who you cannot trust. So it's somehow similar to the African idea of the eye contact, of the direct eye contact. When it comes to the Japanese, they normally look at the eye contact as a way of showing respect. So if you are talking to someone who's superior, you will need to lower your eyes. You will need to show the respect through not looking all the time at the eye. So these are different meanings of the eye contact. And you can also have different other cultural parts of any nation that you will need to learn about before you contact them, before you communicate with them, or maybe before you visit their country. So there are also other aspects. When we speak about the smile, again, I'm sure that when if we open the stage for the smile, it will also again have different meanings between different genders, between different cultures. Sometimes it depends on the situation, and sometimes the smile could have different meanings. The smile of happiness, the smile of sarcasm, the smiles can have different understanding. But all of us will find that a good smile is something good to have a good communication. We also have the hand shaking. Some cultures are shaking the hand. Some of them are not finding that allowed between the different genders. So we will need to respect that as well. When you start any conversation between different people, the way you start the conversation also will need to follow the cultural respect or the cultural guidelines of the nation. The way you are lowering or louding your voice will also have different understanding. When you want, many people, when they want to get engaged with a new culture, normally they start with volunteering. But And there's so many things to speak to be said about volunteering with different cultures. But let's make it simple and say that when you volunteer, you will need to volunteer carefully, because sometimes you may volunteer with the wrong group, and you will have the understanding, or you will think that this group actually represents this country or represents this culture, but you may get to the wrong place. So when you volunteer, you will need to volunteer carefully. And a very important point when you speak about cultural diversity, your home life is a home life and supposed to always be at home. Why we are saying that? Because some people, they think that when they starting the conversation with people from different cultures, they start speaking about the home life. And when they do that, they are actually putting more barriers between the two people, between them and the person they are speaking to, because most of the people don't like to hear about your home life. This is very important. This is sometimes it has been a disaster for many people, so try to avoid that. Now, let's head to the next point, presentation. Now, presentations is something that could be needed for different projects, for the academic research. Whenever you are going in this world these days, you will need to do presentations. So presentations are a very important part of our business life. So presentation will have steps, very simple steps, but when you come to the details, that will need your attention. When you make a presentation, you will start by planning the presentation. You will need to prepare for your presentation, and you will need to use visual aids. These are the simple things. If you did not come with anything out of this session, it will be good enough to have these 3 points and to understand them and to apply them whenever you are doing presentation. When we talk about visual aids, we are talking about something we can see. That means we need to have the proper pictures. We need to have the proper text. Like you normally don't find more than 2 fonts in one presentation, in one slide, because that will create distraction. The text should not be full of, like, the presentation should not be full of so many text. You will need to have a combination of text and pictures. And believe me, these are simple things, but many people are doing that. Many people are still making these mistakes by having so many text instead of having 1 or 2 pictures. And we will speak about how important is the visual aids and how they can make your presentation simple. And the colors will be preferred to reflect the occasion, the event, or maybe the logo of the company that you are speaking about. For example, we are here a part of the Clean Energy for Africa. So clean energy normally associated with the green color. And our logo is actually part of the green and orange. So I prefer to use the green. So you will need to reflect the occasion, the event, the company you are representing. Looking at the right side of the presentation in here, you find that when we are making any presentation, we need to make it clear for people what we are talking about, who, that means the target, and how, that means how we are going to do this project, for example, or how. So these 3 questions are very important to be answered through your presentation. Now, the other 3 things, when, why, and where, normally are fixed. You already will know where you have to make your presentation and when and where. But your part will be in what, who, and how. Professor John Sterman from MIT Sloan said that research shows that showing people research doesn't work. And the same thing applies for the text and pictures. So you will not always, you will not find it enough for people to understand you if you are only showing them research. People want to see things. People want to experiment things. So continuing with presentations, the visual aids. The visual aids are everything that we can see. So the importance of the visual aids is that they make your information more memorable. If you are showing people something, they can understand it, they can memorize it easily. It can bring variety, which increases the audience attention. Normally, people, when they are listening to any presentation, if you are going with the same tune all the time, or not using so many, or just having text and written sentences, people can lose their attention. When you are using visual aids, you will help people to concentrate in your presentation. The visual aids will help also to make your information easier to understand, but you will need to explain them. You will need to have interpretation. You will need to convince people by showing them what does this visual aids mean. And also, the visual aids can make the very complicated information easier to understand. Instead of having, for example, so many numbers, it will be easier to have columns, to have pie chart, to have different kinds of charts, which can make it easy for people to grab the information. And it's very important that visual aids will help you to save time. And time is very important, especially if we are talking about the business communication skills. You are talking about business, you talk about time, and time is money. So there are very important points to remember when you are working in a presentation. First, you say to people what you are going to tell them. That means something like the agenda. Then you say it, which is the content. Then at the end, many people are missing this point. At the end, you will need to tell people what you have said, like a summary. And then remember, when you are presenting, when you are making presentation, you are talking to someone. You are not presenting to yourself, you are talking to someone. So try to make your language as easy as you can and try to feel that connection. You can maybe imagine an avatar of a person, you can imagine a person, but remember that you are speaking to someone. So try to make your information in a logical way, make them organized in a logical way so people can grab the information. The last part, which is, again, one of the pillars of having good presentation, is how to end it. Now, when you end a presentation, you end it with a conclusion, okay? So the conclusion normally is short, and it will be very good to have recommendations when you have conclusion. But some people will have questions. So if you are opening the stage to the questions, try to control the time assigned for everyone. And it will be very good to prepare a question, or to prepare something that you can say in a case of the nightmare scenario, when you have people don't have anything to participate with. It could be for many reasons, but you will need to have a backup plan. And the discussion. So when you are opening the stage to the discussions are, we say, a diplomatic way of making people feel that they have an experience to share with you and to share with everybody, and that makes them more engaged. So this is also a very good way to end your presentation. And again, you will need to keep control of the discussion. Okay, now let's move to the last part of this presentation, which is about meetings and how to chair meetings. Now, meetings are an important part of every organization. Everyone in the business will have meetings. People in the academia, they have meetings. Even the students in the universities will have meetings. There are also family meetings, different kinds of meetings. But here we are talking about the business meetings. The business meetings, the fewer are the merrier, are better. I remember we had a friend, a colleague in Rochester Institute of Technology, and they did a study with a big company to try to calculate how much time is wasted in the meetings. I don't recall the figure, but they have a huge figure of the time wasted in the meetings. And the way they calculated that is when you conduct a meeting in a company, you will need to take time from the employees. And this time has a value because the salaries normally are counted based on hour. So when you are wasting hours of the time of the employees, and then you did not really have an efficient meeting, then you are just losing that time. So you are losing money. So you are not doing something good for your company. So meetings are important, but they will need to be as few as possible and as efficient as possible. Chairing a meeting as a chairman or chairwoman or as an organizer of the meeting, you will need to start by thanking everyone for coming to your meeting or for being here or whatever. So it's very good to start by thanking people. Then you will need to tell them the agenda because people will come to your meeting and they will want to understand what is going on, what is the agenda. When some companies don't present the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, people just get lost and then they start speaking about things which are not relevant to the meeting. And so because of that, they are wasting time. Then after you introduce the agenda, you will need to state the objectives because the agenda are the titles of what you are going to speak about. But when you are speaking about the objectives, you will tell people what do you want to do in this meeting. Then after that, you will start the discussion. The discussion will be giving people a background about the issue. For example, you are now talking about the school health. So the issue, for example, is that we have found an increase in the, for example, safety side or the health side of the students. They are getting more sick. So that could be the background. Then if you have a speaker, you will need to call the speaker. Like I'd like to ask Fikirte to tell us about their experience, for example, of maintaining a healthy school environment. Then the person of Fikirte will start speaking. Then as anyone speaking, you will need to keep control of the meeting. And if someone is asking questions that is not relevant to the meeting, you will need to tell them something in a kind way. Like if Benson asks someone something that is not relevant to the current meeting, you will say, Benson, we will talk about this point, for example, after this session, after this meeting, in a private, whatever, and try to make that in a polite way. Summarizing the speaker notes or meeting. Now, after, say, for example, Fikirte shared with us her example of a healthy school environment, you will need to summarize what she said. She may speak about the whole project, the whole details, but you will need to summarize, for example, saying that this school environment has been successful because 1 and 2 and 3, as simple as that. After that, you will move the discussion on. You may have another speaker. So again, you will call another speaker, and so on. When you finish with the speakers, you will maybe open the discussion. When you open the discussion, you will need to move to point by point to make it organized. After that, you will close the meeting. So closing the meeting will need you to tell people that we have decided 1 and 2 and 3. Why? Because after you are going on with any meeting, you will need to take action. Otherwise, your meeting will not have the value that it's supposed to be. Ending up any meeting will need a follow-up. The follow-up will be normally like a summary of the actions to be taken after this meeting. If you heard about the international organizations, whenever they have meetings, they used to have reports about what they are doing. So for that, they will need people to take action based on the meeting. And for that, they will need to report it to take to action. If you are not following up, then that will cause a failure of the meeting. So that has been the last point of our presentation today. And I'm sharing with you here the link to the video that we presented in the beginning of this presentation, and the photo and the resources. So now, before moving up, I would like to open the stage for questions and answers about the 3 points we have talked about. We talked about the cultural diversity, and we shared different meanings for the eye contact as an example, but we have other cultural points that we need to consider when speaking with people from different cultures or different nations with different backgrounds. And we also talked about how important is to make your presentation with visual aids, which will make your complex information very easy to be understandable, to be memorable by people. And we ended up talking about how you have to chair. We gave an example actually about how to chair and plan a meeting in your company and how important is that. And because it at the end will represent value in dollar, in whatever currency. So that is a dollar value. There is a dollar value of having any meeting. So let's open the stage for discussion. Whatever you want to share with me, or if you have any question, I'll be very glad to answer you. So Amina, again, are you raising your hand?
Yes, I'm raising my hand. Yeah.
Yes, go on, Amina.
Okay, I would like to thank you so much for this really very wonderful presentation, and which is really very useful for us. And I have like some, you already talk about it, but just I want more clarification. For example, if I have a presentation and during my presentation, somebody, he's not taking, going up out of the topic, but he's asking me some question, but maybe I don't have the enough answer. So in this situation, what can I do if he's still asking, and I want to really, I don't want to give some answer. It's not really the right answer, but still I don't have the right answer. So in this situation, what can I do?
Yes, thank you, Amina. This actually happens from time to time in meetings, and whatever we know, our information is always limited to our experiences. So yeah. When we speak about someone asking you a question about something you don't have enough information about, the best way is to be to have like a very polite escape plan by telling them that I will be, for example, it will be very wonderful to share that question with you in a private, and we can learn together the answer of that. So you will try to escape by showing that, like telling people that you are ready to learn with them, but at the same time, you don't give them an answer, because it's a problematic actually to give the wrong answer for the people. It's not ethical actually, and many people are doing that sometimes because they don't know how to escape from that situation. But the best escape plan of that kind of questions, and sometimes people, by the way, will ask you just to make sure they will show your weakness, or they will show the part that you don't know about to maybe feel better, feel superior, feel whatever. Anyhow, whatever the reason is behind the question, you will need to tell people that this point we did not discuss in this in our work, for example, if you are talking about a project, and then refer them to a private speaking after the meeting. So that will be a very good point, and I found many people who are doing that, and it always works.
Thank you. I have like technique. I just hear from someone I want to share with you. For example, they are saying, don't answer, just give the question back to the audience. So, for example, if somebody asks me, maybe I can wait for a while and just I will give this question back to the audience. If anyone have any answer for this question, so I can ask the audience. Then if they doesn't have answer, so I see we can search for that, and I can, like what you said, in private, or maybe I can tell him I will share the answer by email or by any type of communication. So that's only some technique also I learned. So just I would like to share with you.
Yeah, this is very good. Thank you, Amina. So you actually give us another hint about how we can escape this kind of a question. So as you said, we can refer them to after the meeting or by email or something. The other point which you said, and you reminded me by that, by the way. Sometimes when someone asks you a question, you can't tell them, what do you think? And we had a doctor who was always doing that. When we ask him a question that he don't really know the answer to, we ask us back, what do you think? So by that, we are actually giving them the question back. So that's very good, Amina. And whenever people are discussing together, they learn together. So that's very good discussion with you. So thank you, Amina.
Thank you.
And let's move to Matthew. I think you are raising your hand. So please share with us.
Hi. Let me say thank you for the presentation. I think it's very good, especially for us, the volunteers, as we are preparing our presentations. I think this is it has come at the right time, that it will really help us. My question is on the use of visual aids when you're doing presentations. You said we should use as much as visual aid as possible, you know, pie charts, pictures, and what have you. I really want to know what percentage of the pie charts and the visual aids should be part of the presentation. Should it be 40%? Should it be 70%? How do you say, or how do you gauge to say, okay, I think you've got proper, or you've got enough visual aids in this presentation?
Thank you, Matthew, for this point. It's actually, I can give you a number, whether I know or not. But actually, when you are talking about a presentation, you cannot specify that with number. And by the way, Matthew is one of the participants in the Volunteers Program. So I think, Matthew, you are in your work working with so many numbers and so many maybe graphs. So normally people who are used to work with numbers will need a number to identify how successful the presentation will be, for example. But it doesn't go this way when you come to presentation. In business presentation, you will need to find yourself how much of visual aids you need in the presentation, in the project. It will depend on the people you are talking to. If you are in academia, you may need to use less of the visual aids. But when you are talking about people with people in business, you will need to use many of these visual aids. And if you are discussing something that related to numbers, for example, values in dollars, in that case, actually, you will be prepared. It will be preferred to use text instead of using so many pictures. So that means your presentation for stock market could have less graphs, but so many numbers in dollar values or any currency. So you don't have a specific number of or percentage of how many visual aids you need, but you need to consider to use simple colors, not so many colors. You will need to consider to use graphs whenever you need them. And if you don't need them, don't use them. I hope that is good for answering your question. At least this is from my practice, from my experience, and I hope that can add value to your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who is sending me in the private, and thank you for everyone in the general chat. I think by this, we will be ending up our presentation. I hope that was the 1 hour as we promised. Yes, we will be sharing the presentation with everyone after this session. Just give us like a couple of days so we can share the presentation as well as the recording. And I hope that we can keep in touch through our social media, especially in LinkedIn, where we normally share our clean energy for Africa events. And many other information and special topics, webinars, special events. I think that could be helpful for most of you. So by this, I'll be very glad to end this presentation. So thank you, all of you. Thank you for taking the time and spending your time with us, and hope to see you again in next presentations and sessions. Thank you and have a good night.